There is a silent language the body speaks, not with words but with symptoms, pulses and vibrations. Every ache, every imbalance, every illness is a message. A whisper from the soul that something deep within has drifted out of harmony. Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, saw illness not as a punishment or random misfortune, but as a sacred signal, the echo of inner dissonance manifesting in flesh. This view disrupts the conventional rhythm of modern thought. It asks us to listen differently, not just to the body, but to the deeper field that animates it. Illness, in Cayce's revelations, arises not from isolated biology, but from an intricate dance between mind, emotion, karma, and spirit. The body, he taught, is the canvas upon which the unseen paints its truth. What if your chronic fatigue isn't just a result of poor sleep or bad diet, but of carrying the weight of unspoken resentment? What if persistent migraines are the body's alarm for suppressed intuition? Cayce showed again and again that where modern medicine saw random pathology, he saw energetic stagnation, karmic residue, and emotional wounds crying out for acknowledgement. He would enter trance and describe diseases not merely as chemical imbalances, but as patterns of energy gone awry. He spoke of liver problems rooted in anger, of skin issues linked to unresolved shame, of heart conditions mirroring a lack of love, either received or given. In this framework, healing could not be reduced to medicine alone. It required a return to wholeness. But to hear this message, we must slow down. We must cultivate the stillness that allows the inner ear to listen. The body is not broken, it is wise. It does not betray us, it reveals us. Cayce's vision asks us not to fight our symptoms, but to understand them, to approach them with reverence rather than resistance. Imagine standing before a mirror that does not reflect your face but your frequency. Every imbalance is a reflection, not a flaw. The stomach knot before speaking your truth. The tight chest when living in a lie. The lower back pain from lack of support, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. These are not coincidences. They are the soul's way of saying, look here. Cayce taught that the origin of many ailments stretches beyond this lifetime. Past life memories, karmic echoes, soul contracts, all can leave imprints on our current physical state. An illness then is not simply to be cured, but to be understood. It is a thread that leads us back through the labyrinth of our own consciousness. The more we pull on that thread with curiosity and compassion, the more we unravel the true source. This is not a denial of science. Cayce himself often recommended both natural remedies and conventional treatments. But he invited us to go further, to see health not as a binary of sick or well, but as a spectrum of alignment between body, mind, and spirit. Healing is not just about eliminating symptoms, it is about restoring coherence between the seen and the unseen. And so I invite you, the next time your body calls for attention, pause. Ask not just what is wrong, but what is this showing me? In that question lies a doorway, and not just to healing, but to awakening. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel. In the depths of Edgar Cayce's trance visions, a pattern emerged again and again. The emotions we bury become the illnesses we bear. Energy, he taught, must flow, and when it doesn't, it festers. When love is withheld, when fear dominates, when guilt is ignored, the body becomes the stage for unresolved emotions to perform their silent play. He spoke of emotional energies, not as fleeting moods, but as vibratory forces that sculpt our very biology. Joy elevates, fear constricts, anger burns, grief weighs. These forces, if left unacknowledged, seek refuge in the tissues, the blood, the nerves. They become part of us, whispering their unresolved truths through tension, fatigue, inflammation, or disease. Modern science now trails the edges of this understanding, studying psychosomatic links and the biochemical imprint of emotions. But Cayce went deeper. He described how emotions shape the etheric body, the subtle template that guides the formation and function of the physical form. When we habitually dwell in guilt, for instance, this frequency imprints distortions into the energetic body, which then influence the organs aligned with that emotional resonance. It is no accident, he would say, when a person with lifelong shame develops digestive issues. The gut, responsible for absorption and elimination, becomes blocked by what the psyche refuses to release. Similarly, long-held bitterness may harden the arteries, mimicking the heart's hardened stance toward forgiveness. These are not metaphors, they are vibrational realities, revealed by the body's innate intelligence. But Cayce also offered hope, deep, luminous hope. For just as the body absorbs emotional toxicity, it also responds miraculously to emotional clarity and spiritual intention. A sincere act of forgiveness can recalibrate blood pressure. A shift from self-criticism to self-compassion can influence hormonal balance. The body listens, not only to chemicals, but to consciousness. He advised those in pain to begin with prayer, meditation, and intentional breath. These are not escapes from the body, but doorways back into its sacred terrain. Through stillness, one learns to observe the emotion beneath the symptom. Through prayer, one opens channels to receive insight, to ask, what am I holding on to that no longer serves? Healing then becomes less about control and more about surrender. Cayce often emphasized the vibratory power of words and thoughts. He urged individuals to guard their inner dialogue as vigilantly as they would their health, because to say "I am sick" repeatedly is to program the body toward illness. But to affirm, even in the midst of pain, "I am aligning with divine health," is to set a new frequency in motion, one that invites restoration. He also recognized the role of joy, not as luxury, but as medicine. Laughter, beauty, creativity. These were not distractions from healing, but catalysts for it. To paint, to sing, to walk in nature, to gaze at a sunset, these acts recalibrate the nervous system and flood the energetic field with coherence. In joy, the body relaxes. In joy, the cells open. In joy, healing becomes possible. So we must ask ourselves, what emotion have I refused to feel? What grief has gone unwept? What rage sits coiled beneath my smile? These questions are not easy, but they are sacred. To feel is not weakness, and it is the threshold of release. And in that release, the body remembers how to heal. Let us be courageous. Let us turn toward the feeling, not away. For in feeling fully, we reclaim our power, and our path toward wholeness begins. Illness, in Cayce's cosmology, is rarely a singular event. It is a thread woven through lifetimes, tangled with choices, intentions, and forgotten memories. When the body suffers, it may be echoing a wound that was never healed, not in this life, but in another. To Cayce, reincarnation was not a theory. It was a framework through which the soul evolves, learns, balances, and transforms. He saw the soul as an eternal traveler, moving through lifetimes like seasons, carrying impressions, debts, wisdom, and unresolved patterns. Disease then may arise as the soul's effort to rebalance what was once distorted, a karmic purification in the language of form. For example, a person born with a congenital condition might, in Cayce's readings, be processing the consequences of actions taken in a previous life, not as punishment, but as opportunity. Karma is not a cosmic sentence, it is the sacred mirror of cause and effect. It invites understanding, not guilt. It calls for compassion, not shame. He recounted cases where blindness, chronic pain, or infertility were directly linked to choices made in past incarnations. But he always emphasized, awareness transforms karma. Once recognized, karmic patterns can be transmuted. Once the lesson is received, the suffering no longer needs to continue. Consciousness is the key. In this vision, the body is not a victim. It is an ally. It agrees at the soul level to bear the imprint of our lessons, to carry the weight of past imbalances so they may be seen, acknowledged, and healed. Every cell, then, is a participant in the soul's redemption. This view changes everything. It invites us to look at long-standing illness not with despair but with reverence. What is this condition trying to teach me? What unresolved truth is seeking integration through this discomfort? The moment we begin to inquire, the process of spiritual healing ignites. Cayce also taught that the soul selects its incarnation based on what it most needs to resolve. The family, the body, the culture, even the vulnerabilities, are chosen for growth. We are not random products of biology, but precise expressions of spiritual design. Our bodies are tailored to our soul's evolution. Some may resist this, especially when pain feels unfair. But Cayce never offered these insights as cold logic. He spoke with warmth, with compassion, always reminding those who came to him that grace was real, that transformation was always possible. Karma is not fate, it is invitation. And we are not trapped in our stories, we are the rewriters of them. He emphasized practices that awaken this remembrance: meditation, dream work, acts of service, dietary harmony, and alignment with higher ideals like patience, kindness, forgiveness. These are not abstract virtues, they are vibrational medicines, karmic antidotes that slowly recalibrate the soul's trajectory and the body's condition. In many of Cayce's readings, healing did not come through medicine alone, but through forgiveness, of others, of the self, even of God. When the soul releases resentment, the body often follows. When the heart opens to compassion, the nervous system relaxes. When past life wounds are seen and honored, they lose their power to wound again. We are multidimensional beings. To treat the body as separate from spirit is to see only a fraction of the truth. Cayce offered us a full view, one in which our pain makes sense, our suffering has meaning, and our healing is within reach. There is a subtle intelligence moving through all things, a rhythm, a current, a divine order. Edgar Cayce believed that healing unfolds most profoundly when we return to this inner alignment, when our thoughts, actions, and intentions resonate with our soul's original blueprint. Illness, then, is not merely the failure of the body, but a signal of disconnection from this higher design. He often said, "Spirit is the life, mind is the builder, and the physical is the result." This triad became central in his readings. The body does not exist in isolation. It is the outpicturing of spiritual patterns filtered through the mind's choices. Healing, therefore, begins not with the symptom, but with the alignment of spirit and intention. Many who came to Cayce sought relief from physical suffering, but he would redirect them, gently but firmly, toward the question beneath the question: are you living in harmony with your purpose? For Cayce, purpose was not just vocation, it was the soul's core resonance, the way it expresses love, truth, and service in this world. When we live in dissonance with that essence, the body knows. It registers the friction. A life of fear contracts the organs. A life without joy dulls the immune system. A life that resists growth accumulates stagnation. The cells are listening, and they respond not only to nutrition and environment, but to our beliefs, our thoughts, our integrity. Cayce urged people to live deliberately, to recognize that every decision, what we eat, how we speak, how we treat others, is an energetic choice. He viewed food as vibration, work as service, relationship as sacred mirror. He invited us to see illness not as a curse, but as a call to return, to presence, to honesty, to alignment with divine intention. His readings were filled with practical guidance: castor oil packs, spinal adjustments, balanced diets. But these were always paired with inner work. One without the other, he warned, would only treat symptoms, not causes. True healing demands coherence across all levels of being. And so the question becomes, what am I aligned with? If I live in constant judgment, what message am I feeding my cells? If I hide my truth, what signal am I sending to my organs? If I ignore my soul's longing, how long before the body cries out on its behalf? Alignment is not perfection. It is presence. It is the choice again and again to listen inwardly, to act with integrity, to love without condition. When we move in this way, the body relaxes. It trusts. It opens to the current of life that flows through it. Cayce spoke often of attunement, a state in which we consciously tune ourselves to higher frequencies. This can be cultivated through prayer, silence, service, and gratitude. Even 10 minutes of inward listening, he said, could shift the entire energetic field of the body, because the soul remembers. It knows the sound of home. He reminded us that no healing is ever wasted. Even if the body does not recover fully, the soul evolves through the very act of turning toward the light. Each effort, each surrender, each moment of forgiveness ripples through the unseen realms, rearranging karma, realigning energy, restoring balance. We are not victims of biology. We are stewards of vibration. And when our vibration returns to truth, the body too begins to remember its design, not of decay but of wholeness. Healing, then, is not something we force, it is something we allow. It is the natural result of coming home to who we really are. In the quiet depths of Edgar Cayce's readings, one truth returns again and again like a sacred drumbeat. Love is the most powerful healing force in the universe. Not romantic love, nor conditional love, but divine love. The vast, intelligent, creative energy that sustains all life. Illness, he said, is often the body's way of asking us to return to that frequency. We think of love as emotion, but Cayce spoke of it as vibration, a current that flows from the Creator into all things, and when blocked, the system falters. Every cell thrives in love's presence, not only the love we receive, but the love we become. When we withhold love, especially from ourselves, the body reflects that absence. How many of us live in quiet rejection of our own being, harboring guilt that festers, criticism that wounds, shame that lingers in the bones? Cayce urged us to see, healing begins the moment we stop resisting ourselves. When we embrace the totality of who we are, flawed, evolving, radiant souls, the body begins to realign. He spoke of the heart not just as an organ, but as the center of spiritual memory. To open the heart is to unlock the code of healing. This is not sentimentality, it is spiritual science. The electromagnetic field of the heart affects every other system in the body. When we live from the heart, coherence arises, immunity strengthens, pain softens, the nervous system reorients. But to love truly, we must also forgive, not just others, but ourselves. Cayce reminded us, guilt is not virtue, it is stagnation. It traps us in cycles of unworthiness. Forgiveness, by contrast, releases energy. It restores flow. It is not forgetting the past, but choosing to see through the eyes of the soul rather than the wound. He encouraged people to speak to their bodies as living consciousness, to place hands over the heart or the area of pain and whisper, "I love you, I'm listening, I forgive you, I thank you." These simple phrases, spoken with sincerity, can initiate profound shifts. The body, after all, is not separate from the soul. It is the soul's echo. Many asked Cayce, what if healing doesn't come? He would respond with compassion and clarity. Physical healing is never the only kind. Sometimes the illness awakens the soul. Sometimes it deepens empathy, opens spiritual sight, leads to inner transformation. These too are miracles. True healing is remembering who we are. It is returning to the awareness that we are not these bodies, not these illnesses, not even these stories, but luminous beings of intention and light. The body may struggle, the soul does not. The soul evolves through every experience, especially those that break us open. So we are invited to soften, to release the war within, to stop fighting the symptom and begin embracing the message. The body is not our enemy. It is our most intimate teacher. It mirrors not just what is broken, but what is possible. Edgar Cayce's legacy is not just a catalogue of remedies, it is a map back to presence. A reminder that healing begins in the subtle, in the choices we make, the emotions we carry, the thoughts we believe, and the love we allow. Every moment is a chance to return. Breathe, place your hand on your heart, feel that rhythm. It is not just yours. It is the pulse of the divine moving through you, waiting to be remembered. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.